Welcome to DABCC Radio,
where smart people listen.
Virtualization and Cloud Talk,
Featuring cutting-edge solutions from the hottest companies around the globe.
broadcasting from the DABCC offices in sunny Sarasota, Florida.
Surrounded by computers, books, and Legos.
A Microsoft MVP, Citrix Charter CTP, VMware vExpert.
And your host, Douglas Brown.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a fabulous episode. This is Doug Brown, and I have a great episode for you today. We have DataCore back on the line, and today they brought one of their business partners, Lenovo, and we all know Lenovo for their phenomenal ThinkPad laptops, and they're making some, they're really making some, some moving fast, let's put it that way, into the storage world, and with a huge partnership from with DataCore Software. What else do I say about that? This is what we're going to talk about today. And I'm really excited because I love these podcasts with DataCore. You can already hear the excitement in my voice. This is going to be a great episode. We have a couple guys from Lenovo, and we have Carlos, the biz dev manager and all-around genius from DataCore Software with us. So with no further ado, let's just dive into this. I think you guys will like it. And, here we go. My podcast with DataCore and Lenovo. Okay, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me. I'm looking forward to this. We've had DataCore on a bunch of times now. We've been sort of going around the company and talking to different people within DataCore and some of the different solutions they have or different ways of slicing up Sound Symphony. But today they brought on a business partner, Lenovo. So I'm really excited about this because we got some smart guys online, and we're going to learn a bunch of neat stuff. So that being said, let's introduce our guests and sort of go around the horn. And we'll go around the horn, and as always, we'll let them introduce themselves. So we'll start with Lenovo. Don, who are you, and what do you do over at Lenovo?
Thank you, Doug, for letting us join the podcast today. I'm Don Frame, the brand director for Lenovo's North America data center business. Got about 20 plus years in this industry, doing various things from engineering, product development, technical marketing, and now the brand leader for our DCG business, our data center group business in North America. And it's really something, Doug, I'm totally passionate about because data center now is it's no longer the thing that's in the back of the room that just, makes email and database work and, it's an expense for the business, has to be done, but we want to keep it in the back. Now your infrastructure is becoming more of a decider of your business outcome. A modern infrastructure can forward you into the future or can hold you back. So we're more important than ever. I love technology. So this is just a dream role for myself personally.
Boy, aren't you correct on that? The data centers now, I mean, it's always been important, but now it touches every aspect of a corporation, from the business intelligence to the end user computing, right? It's truly it's the linchpin nowadays. It's so exciting space to be in right now.
Really is, and those who can transform from where they're at to a modern infrastructure, it's going to be a direct correlation, Doug, to their business success and their ability to reinvent themselves. For example, Doug, I read a stat recently that the Fortune 100 used to last about 75 years. Now it's about 15. And I know that not all of that is related to their infrastructure, their IT, but I think it's becoming a bigger variable, Doug, of how quickly they can reinvent themselves, especially in the world that we're living in today.
Yeah, digital transformation's huge all the way across the board, right? And then also, like I mentioned, business intelligence and big data, and being able to understand what your customer's doing, understanding what your end users, what's going on in your website, your supply chain, everything, and it's all connected now, and it's all going through our data centers. It's phenomenal. Really,
absolutely.
It's an explosion is what it is.
That's exactly correct. Yeah. Yep.
I like to describe what the world today is a supernova. It sort of got really hot and exploded, and now we're dealing with all the remnants of it. but they're really cool. It's not the beginning of the universe, though.
That's exactly right. And we're working with folks like DataCore. And why we're so pumped about our relationship with DataCore. It's not a productization of the past. It's a productization of the future. It is software defined. It is about transforming your business from a very rigid, hardware defined data center to a more agile, software defined data center. And DataCore is a perfect partner for us in that realm.
Well, we'll get to Carlos here in a second, but it sounds like Don and I are having a podcast on our own. So let's bring in Patrick. Patrick, who are you, and what do you do over at Lenovo?
Hi, thanks, Doug. Yes, Patrick Oliveri. I work with Don and DCG here at Lenovo. I'm fairly new to Lenovo, actually less than 1 year. I am the North America Storage Product Manager. Previous to this, I was 19 years with a large semiconductor company as a field application engineer. So worked with a lot of tech companies, getting them all of the development materials they need to design their servers. I'm looking forward to what we do here at Lenovo and the storage portfolio. And I guess storage was never that sexy. It was always legacy. It was always an afterthought. But today, you really need to understand how to manage your data to be successful. So I'm really looking forward to helping Lenovo define that strategy and define some really cool products. And of course, today with DataCore, we've got that in the DX8200D.
That's cool. That's cool. I did an interview with Zia, maybe 12 years ago, and he said, storage is starting to really get cool. He goes, for 30 years, it just is how fast we could spin a drive. Nothing really changed. Maybe we had bigger refrigerators. He goes, nowadays, it just, like Don said, the world is just, it just exploded. And storage is sexy, and it's so key. So you're so right. And I tell you, the sexiest part of storage is DataCore. So let's bring on Carlos. Carlos, I've known you for a while. So we've had a relationship with DataCore. I have with DABCC for a long time now. So it's nice to have you on. Can you tell us who you are and what you do over at DataCore?
Absolutely. Great to be on, Doug. Really appreciate the opportunity. So I'm Carlos Carreras. I'm the Senior Vice President of Business Development and Strategic Alliances at DataCore. For those of you that are not familiar with our company, we've been around now for over 19 years. We just celebrated our 19th anniversary back in February. Over 12,000 customers all around the globe leveraging our technology. We've been doing software-defined storage since it was not software-defined storage. One of the things that our CEO said very early on when he founded the company was that we're here to build an enduring software-driven architecture that helps our customers manage their chaos, simplify their data center environments, maximize their existing assets, and that's exactly what we've done over the last 19 years. We're extremely proud of our customers and our partners, and extremely pleased with our relationship with Lenovo. We think that this is going to do something that's very, very unique, and that's make the adoption of software-defined storage simple, make it easy. Help customers to take all the complexity out of their data centers, leverage what they've got, maximize those investments, and ultimately make more money, right? Leverage their technology to provide better services, to drive more business, to ultimately help their customers. So we're very, very pleased with the work that we've been doing with Lenovo over the past couple of years, and with the exciting announcement of the new product.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a bit about this. Don and Patrick, real quick before we get that, I'll put the two questions together. How's that sound? Can you tell us a bit about Lenovo, the storage group, what you guys are doing over there, and then also this Lenovo Storage DX8200D? What is this thing?
Yeah. So, Doug, obviously people know Lenovo as a huge PC and devices company, and we're great in that. We've been number one in PC plus tablet for a number of quarters now. Really, grew our business. We acquired many of those assets from IBM back in 2005. That's when I came over from IBM to Lenovo. We had some great products. We invented the laptop at IBM, and now it's something that we all take for granted. We use every day. But Lenovo took it to the next level because of our internal efficiency, the way we manage our supply chain minute by minute, not quarter by quarter. You have to be able to have that type of operational focus to be able to gain margin in this business that's tightening on the hardware side. We've invested by instead of outsourcing manufacturing like all of our competitors, we brought that back in. So Lenovo owns manufacturing all across the globe. We manufacture in Geo for our data center products, getting products closer to the end customer. It also helps us on outbound logistics, so there's savings and efficiency that's driven there. So we think we have a great profile that we started on the PC side that we can apply to the data center side from a supply chain and business operations mode, Doug, that we think will help us be more competitive than anybody out there. Now, on the data center side, you can say we were one of the leaders in IoT or devices because we are. But we also know that none of these devices are not smart devices unless they're underpinned and enabled by smart IT intelligence in the back end. And it's growing. I mean, IoT is what we know now of laptops, phones, smartphones, tablets, all of these things. But soon, Doug, and I think people are already experiencing this today in their life, soon you'll wake up in your connected home. And then you'll get to work, you'll drive to work in your connected car or in your public transport. As you pass from home to work, you'll pass weather sensors, road sensors. Sensor technology is exploding. It's going to be all around us. Obviously, video technology and surveillance all around us. And then, of course, we'll get to work and we'll work with many different devices throughout the day. All of these devices are enabled by IT. That's why Lenovo looks at this industry and says, we need to be a player in this industry. The data center needs are growing. We want to be part of that. We think we have a great view because we have many, many devices that we develop and sell across the globe that customers use. We want to enable those devices and bring them to the next level. And then we want to be, you talked about data, and I talked about sensors. Sensors are collecting data at a massive amount. And over the next 5 years, it's going to be about a 10x factor of what we collect in data. We need to be able to do something with it. Data, just having it sit there is great, but we want to do something with it. In fact, we don't want to just do analytics in the hindsight. Analytics today, Doug, is about collecting data of what happened and then making some business decision from it. We are progressing forward quickly on AI, artificial intelligence, and deep machine learning technologies to be able to predict what will happen. And to me, that's the big exciting next thing happening in the data center. It's not really cloud. It's not really all these other things. It is AI related to being able to predict the future. That's incredibly exciting. Just thinking about it right now gets me chilled up a little bit. These are things that could help us solve real world problems. We could, cure diseases. We could do things that help us in our everyday lives of, making sure that our transportation, not just on the ground, but in the air is optimized so we spend less time wasting time. There's applications across our everyday lives here that are very interesting. Now, to make all that happen, to be able to enable that, we have to be able to change our storage infrastructure. We cannot continue with a legacy storage infrastructure and think that you can survive in this tsunami of data that's going to be hitting us. So that's why we've reached out to our friends at DataCore to figure out how we can simplify our storage, how we can do more with less in terms of the amount of people time it takes to manage your storage environment. And certainly we can do that with our new product. So on that, Doug, I'm going to turn it over to Patrick and have him talk a little bit about our new product with DataCore.
Thanks, Don. Yeah, and so again, Don is right. Storage, we can't continue to do the same storage legacy silos like we've been doing. Adding JBODs as you need additional capacity, because then you have problems with growing that capacity each time you change your workloads, as well as managing, potentially several different types of storage. So what we've done is we've combined the X3650 hardware in our server portfolio, and we've added on top of that the DataCore SAN Symphony software to create this appliance that now allows us to take advantage of a customer's legacy storage environment. So most customers probably don't want to get rid of their legacy storage. So what this appliance does is it hooks to it, it talks to it, it manages it, and gives those resources to any application that's working on the server nodes. So basically, in a nutshell, we're making it much simpler for the customer to manage their data.
Makes sense. Patrick, can you give us some specs on this box?
Sure. So we've defined two basic models. One is a server SAN model, and that's really going to be for the app acceleration. We also have another model called for storage virtualization. So that's the one I mentioned earlier that will take the customer's already existing storage and be able to manage that and make it look as if it's one pool. It doesn't matter, if it's three different types of storage. It can still take all of those resources, virtualize it, and then you can apply all of the SAN Symphony feature set to that storage and manage it in one pane of glass.
Perfect. And Carlos, do you want to add some, something there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Don's right on, right? And one of the things that he shared that really resonates is the data is critical because the data allows businesses to make decisions. It allows them to look at new ways to service their customers. It allows them to look at creative ways of solving problems. And that's the part that's exciting about technology. I think as techies, we would all agree, we could spend the next hour talking about all the great features in the hardware and the software. But ultimately, what matters to customers is what does that enable them to do? So as much as I could sit here and tell you all about stretch metro clusters that provide high availability and business continuity and synchronous replication, the reality is that what that healthcare institution or that hospital cares about that's leveraging that is the fact that their doctors and nurses can continue to provide patient care. And this is one of the main reasons why we do so well in industries where there is mission critical requirements, where it is life or death, where access to that information is vital to their business. The example that I just cited is very typical of our engagements with hospitals within our customer base. Most of them are looking at how to protect that patient data, how to ensure that it is always available. So when that doctor or that nurse or that practitioner needs to help someone who's coming through the door, they have everything that they need at their fingerprints. Similarly, right, as techies, we love to talk about performance. And I know we've done past podcasts on our SPC benchmarks and how fast our software is and our parallel I/O technology and what that enables. But what we hear is, what does that do for a customer? So when we begin to translate that technology into customer value, what we see is customers are now able to make faster inventory decisions. They're able to process information in a way that allows them to make real-time, just-in-time decisions about what goes where. So now we've begun to translate technology into business value. And that's one of the things that's fundamentally missing from the way most vendors sell. And it's one of the reasons why we really liked what we're doing with Lenovo. Lenovo gets this. Lenovo understands that it's not about the widget, right? Ultimately, there's technology that's going to go out there. We're going to go in the data center. It's going to get installed. But it's not about the widget. It's about what that enables the customer to accomplish. So in an effort to simplify that process, we really have spent a tremendous amount of time and man hours and just overall intelligence to really look at what is that customer experience, what happens from the minute that they engage with Lenovo and DataCore to when they get this asset on the floor to 5 years from now when they're looking at the incremental growth and how best to address the expansion of their environment. We really have looked at that process from end to end, and we're very proud of what we built. We've built something that is optimized, finely tuned, it's self-installing, it's capable of being expanded to scale up or scale out. It gives the customer tremendous flexibility, but always with a focus on their business, not on the technology, but on what that technology allows that customer to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and let me jump, Doug. Let me jump on that a little bit. This is Don again. And Carlos is exactly right. It's about making that data actionable. But one thing that the DX8200D powered by DataCore appliance does, it allows us to make all of our data useful. Data is the biggest asset that any company has, and it's not just the large companies. It's also the small companies now have access to massive amounts of data that we're just sitting there and not doing something with. The DX8200D allows us to find all of our data sources and virtualize them to be able to manage them all together, to be able to make sure that we can take advantage of, again, the biggest asset we have, take advantage of every single data source and make it actionable and do something with it. And that's what's exciting as well. I'm not sure there's another product on the planet that does this.
I agree with that, Don.
Well, you need another product coupled with DataCore, right? And another superior product coupled with DataCore, and that's hard to find right there. So
it is. And Doug, as we went out and we kind of evaluated our relationships, and this, as well as we do, our software is portable. Our software works on any hardware platform, any x86 server. We're able to virtualize any backend storage. If we can see it, we can manage, replicate it. We can do all the things that we do to it. But what we saw with Lenovo was something really, really unique. What we saw was a company that was looking at the future, as Don alluded to earlier, right? They're not looking at how do I compete head-to-head against the incumbent vendor? How do I provide a solution that is priced lower and we're competing on price versus value? What they came to us with was a requirement to look at how they change the playing field, and again, look at it from a customer's perspective.
I love it.
And to that extent, it was an immediate recognition that software-defined storage was the way of changing the playing field and really helping customers, not just today with their storage requirements, but well into the future. And part of that means, how do I manage the existing? How do I absorb new technologies? We're seeing a tremendous shift towards all-flash arrays, right? We've seen tremendous growth in SSD and flash. And typically that ends up being yet another appliance, yet another array in the infrastructure, creating more chaos, more complexity. That's not the approach that Lenovo has taken. They're looking at how can software-defined make the adoption of new and emerging technologies easy, simple, and shareable. So it's not just one application that gets access to it or one server that gets access to it. How do I leverage those resources at the right time for the right workload to deliver the right output to that customer, performance, availability, et cetera? So this notion of it's not just about the storage, but rather what is it that this enables the customer to do? How does software defined give that customer greater flexibility? The underlying technology is fabulous. As I mentioned earlier, we've used it in our SPC benchmarks, and part of the reason is that server, that 3650 that the appliance is built on, that's built like a mainframe. I mean, there is technology in there that is second to none in terms of the PCI subsystem, the memory handling, the interrupt handling. There's just a lot of things in there that shows the heritage. It shows where it came from. And we've been able to leverage that and exploit that to do some unbelievable things. You think about our performance numbers. I mean, we hold the number 1, 2, and 3 position in terms of price performance against multi-million-dollar systems with a server.
Yeah.
We're doing with a server what companies are doing with multi-million-dollar systems with hundreds of drives and spindles. That's game-changing. And again, that was part of the attraction to Lenovo. There's nothing to protect. There's no incumbent storage business that, they're worried about cannibalizing. It was a wide open, clean slate in terms of how do we look forward? How do we build this so that customers have something that takes them forward, as opposed to bringing 3 decades of storage history, right, as baggage into that equation.
Yeah, you put it so well. I mean, that's perfect. And I had an old customer of mine, a friend of mine, that once said, we don't look at the competition. He owns the business, or co-owner of the business and CTO, and he said, we don't look at the competition. We look at we listen to our customer, and we build in that direction. When we look at the competition, we end up in a, somewhere that we don't necessarily want to be, or somewhere where the customer is not as comfortable. So I love how you guys phrase that. And then also for the listeners out there, we have been doing a series of podcasts with the DataCore folks. So Carlos mentioned the best benchmark testing. I have a podcast on this. If you're interested in the benchmark testing, why they're 1, 2, and 3, how that works, and tech details, go back and look at the show notes. I'll have the links in there, but just go back through the feed of the podcast. They're really phenomenal episodes, and we dive. DataCore dives really deep into what all that means, what the criteria was, how it works, things of that nature. So, that being said, definitely refer back to those podcasts. You guys enjoy it. But let's continue with this fun one. So, can you provide me some sample applications environments, maybe where this solution works best?
Yeah. So this is Don. Let me jump on that one a little bit. It's really a multifaceted tool we have too that's going to look at and manage all your heterogeneous storage that you have in your environment. It's a pretty mixed vendor scenario that many customers have. So we're first going to start by getting that all under control and be able to manage that. From a workload perspective, we're going to be able to simplify the access and improve performance on workloads across the spectrum. So one of the things that our appliance does, our DX8200D appliance accomplishes, is application acceleration. So you, and not only in addition to all the things we just talked about, but you may have some problems that are right in front of you today that are more tactical that you need to solve. And a lot of them are related to the performance of your existing applications. You may be growing your business in number of seats quickly, number of employees, and now your current applications are coming under stress. And how are you going to respond to that quickly? So one of the things that we have accomplished with this product is app acceleration, and we've built a configuration specifically for that. Patrick, can you talk a little bit about what we're doing around app acceleration for DX8200D?
Sure. So, we combine the parallel I/O technology that DataCore has implemented in their software with the multi-core processors in the appliance. You get the opportunity for parallel workloads through that node. So from a database perspective, I know Carlos has many customer use cases where they've seen an incredible amount of time saved by running reports, database reports. So that's what this appliance does. It gives you the opportunity to really take those workloads, and more than one workload running at the same time on the same node really improves the performance based on the two technologies coming together here on the appliance. So we do have a SAN server model that specifically ties to improving the performance of the applications. And
that could be, Doug, tier 1 apps such as your data analytics, could be tier 2 apps like your email, your collaboration, your simple database, the things that everybody touches every day. And if you're looking at other ways to accelerate your current infrastructure around your applications, it's difficult and not simple. This is the easiest, quickest, simplest way to make a difference in the performance of your existing applications today. It's the most cost efficient, the most time efficient, and the simplest way to do it. And that's what's exciting, because you can now take something that can actually help you fix some of your business issues quickly and simply right now. Not something that's difficult and you have to architect it. Just buy a couple of our DX8200Ds, put them in your environment, and you can accelerate your applications in the next 24 hours. That's what's exciting.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, and I'll get a little technical on it. Right, there's nothing faster than memory. If you can run I/O at memory speeds, you're going to have a blazing fast response time. And one of the things that we do with our technology is we optimize the use of DRAM. These servers can have upwards of 1.5 terabytes of DRAM on them, and that DRAM is front-ending slower devices, whether it's flash or SSD, whether it's spinning disk drives, nearline SAS, SATA, go right down the list, internal, external. But to the extent that we can put that I/O, put that data in memory, we're going to be able to provide much faster response times. Now, let me translate that again into customer value. The example that Patrick alluded to is a national auto parts retailer, over 6,000 locations all across the U.S. And their challenge was very basic. They have a database report that they use to make inventory decisions, daily inventory decisions. What needs to ship from the warehouses to each of the individual stores? What do they need to put promotions against in order to move inventory faster? That report that they use for daily inventory decisions takes over 40 hours to generate. So by the time it's completed, the window's already passed, right? You've already missed the window in which you had to make a decision about what you stock and what you price your product at. We were able, with our technology, parallel I/O, DRAM, our caching, all of the things that we do, we were able to reduce the time that it takes to run that report from 40 hours down to 5 hours, over 800%.
Wow.
Now that customer can make same-day decisions. Now they can impact their business, reduce their inventory costs, increase their sales as a result of the underlying technology. Now, do they need to understand parallelism and all the things that we do with multi-core processors? Yeah, we obviously have shared all the things that you can do with it, but what they cared about was 40 hours down to 5 hours. That means millions of dollars to their business. That's the type of value that we bring forward with the DX8200D.
Well, and why that customer was so thrilled to was two reasons. Obviously, they're able to make sure they capture revenue, so they avoid lost revenue, and that's great for the business and the shareholders. But what they were more interested in, and what they've expressed back to Carlos and the team, is related to their ability to change the customer experience. Now they've just taken the customer experience and improved it greatly, and now they've created a connection with the customer. They've created an emotional connection with that customer that comes and they have what they need when they need it. It's almost like they're predicting what they need. And as consumers, as you find a business that can do that for you, and you've now created an emotional connection with them, you're going to patronize them oftenly. So, that customer, the end of it is creating that customer experience. If you do that with your customers, your revenue stream will not have a problem. Fix your customer issues and everything else for your business will fall into place. Carlos, you want to jump on that? Because I know those guys love you not only for what we're doing around their business, but what we're doing around customer experience.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you hit it right on the head, right? The more you personalize that experience and you provide what the customer wants when they want it, the more likely that customer is going to continue to do business with you. So it's again, back to this focus on what does the technology enable the customer to accomplish that they couldn't do without the use of the technology. So they don't need to be subject matter experts in the underlying things that we've invested in and have put into this asset. What they need to understand is that it enables them to do something that they couldn't do otherwise. So we're, as I mentioned earlier when we began, we're very, very proud of our customer base. They are extremely loyal. They leverage our technology in creative ways. They're able to provide benefits to their constituents, their employees, their partners, their customers in a way that wasn't possible. And I think the key here is we need to share with our customers that there is a better way, that there's a way to manage the chaos in their data centers, and that simply continuing to throw more storage at it, buying another array, isn't the answer. The answer is, how do you do business differently? By leveraging software-defined, by leveraging simple solutions that make the adoption of software-defined easy in order to arrive at an optimal solution for the data center. And look, we've all seen the emergence of hyperconvergence. We've seen lots of different solutions that have come to market over the past couple of years. But the challenge with all of these is that, again, we're compounding the chaos. We're creating more islands within the data center, as opposed to making it easy for the customer to leverage the right technology at the right time for the right workload to provide the right business value to their customers. And that's what this relationship is all about. This relationship is about getting to that core of customer-centric technology that ultimately allows them to do something they wouldn't do otherwise.
Yeah, and then and this is Don again, to follow up on Carlos' point there, is a very good one, is a lot of newer technologies are different ways of accomplishing a task, but like Carlos said, that creates a new island. The DX8200D powered by DataCore can work in an existing infrastructure to get more out of what you already have. So it is transformative in terms of being software defined, but it's not a new island you're creating. You're creating something that's going to help you get the most out of what you have first, and then secondly, migrate your infrastructure to a software-defined data center of the future. And that's what's exciting here, is a lot of software software-defined technologies are islands. They can't help you with what you have now. The DX8200D powered by DataCore can absolutely help you get the most out of what you have.
Yeah, and let me add one thing to that. Lenovo has built a phenomenal storage portfolio, and I think it's probably one of the best kept secrets because in addition to what they do with software-defined and with DataCore, they've also developed a phenomenal product set that allows customers to expand their environment, to scale up, to scale out as they need more. So it's not just the software defined by itself. It's really a complete story that looks at ultimately that data has to reside somewhere. It has to reside in physical assets. And in addition to what customers may already have on the floor, we all know that customer data is growing on average anywhere from 30 to 50% year over year. It's not going to slow down. Customers aren't going to have less data tomorrow than they do today, right? We've talked about the digital explosion. So it's not just going in there with a part of the solution. It's being able to offer a customer a complete story and not just a product story, but rather a storage strategy and a data-centric strategy. And again, that's part of what has really resonated with us as far as the Lenovo strategy is concerned, is that it is a data-centric view of how they can leverage their storage portfolio, their storage technology to help customers.
You guys are great. You just, I just shut up and let you guys go. This is awesome. And this is what I love about doing podcasts with DataCore is that you guys are so fanatically excited about what you're doing. And it's every one of these podcasts have been just over the top with excitement, about technology. And I love it. And now we found some like-minded folks at Lenovo, and this is really great. My last 3 questions I had written down were talk about some customer success stories, common industry problems, benefits of the solution. You went through all that just right there, but I'll just throw that at you. Is there anything else to add before I get into my final couple questions?
Let me jump in on that, please. Doug. This is Don. I just want to add one thing to relationship with DataCore and Lenovo. The relationship between DataCore and Lenovo is not Lenovo purchasing software from DataCore. It is way more than that. Because, as Carlos pointed out, we are like-minded in what we want to do to usher in the data center of the future, and then, of course, the business outcomes that result from that. The two companies came together and said, we want to start engineering together. We want our hardware engineers to start working closer with the DataCore software engineers. So the outcome that you see in the appliance is not a preloading of software onto a piece of hardware. It's much greater than that. It is there actually about over a year we worked together on technology sharing to make sure that we were able to bring out a data center device that was optimized. We learned from DataCore. From that, we were able to do things on the appliance itself to optimize the results around performance, around firmware and BIOS optimization. So you get that result of that great performance, and of course you guys talked about some of the benchmarks that prove that engineering together is a better outcome for the customer. One of the things that I believe personally is innovation through partnership is much faster than innovation through ownership, and that's why we partner with folks like DataCore. So the appliance has been pre-tuned and optimized, and again, that customer experience is important. You can go out and buy software, and you can go out and buy hardware, and you can try to roll your own. Who do you call when something doesn't work? It gets into this myriad of who do I call to get support, and then if something does happen in the field, who do you call to get your post-sale support? We've integrated all that together with DataCore. So we're pre-optimizing the appliance before it goes out, way more than just preloading. We're pre-optimizing, pre-validating configurations, and we do that with DataCore side by side. In the post-sale part of this, Doug, when a customer does have questions, they have one number to call. They call Lenovo. We're going to own them end-to-end. We're not going to pass them around. We obviously get great support from the engineering team at DataCore, but it is not about passing people around. That's what you get when you're going to try to roll your own. So the appliance approach not only makes it quicker to deploy, it's going to help our customer experience with our data center customers in the end.
You guys you just answered my next question. That was why and competition in many ways. So, Carlos, anything to add there?
No, I tell you, we're proud of what we've accomplished, and this is just the beginning, right? This is the starting point for what we think will be a very beneficial relationship for our customers and our partners. The solution is available in over 76 countries around the globe, and as Don mentioned, fully supported, easy to install, optimize, one-stop support. I mean, we've gone through everything from end to end to ensure that we're looking at it from the customer's point of view, the customer value point of view. When I look at it competitively, there's nothing else on the planet that can do what we do with the DX8200D powered by DataCore in terms of performance, availability, managing existing assets, scale up, scale out. There's a tremendous amount of flexibility to manage new or existing. There's a tremendous amount of flexibility to serve up storage to physical or virtual host. To hyperconverge, if you want to hyperconverge and run virtual machines on it, there's just a lot of things that become possible. But at the end of the day, what matters is the data. What matters is what customers are able to do and how this technology helps them to leverage that data to do things for their customers. And that's the part that makes this relationship really exciting. We're doing some unique things with our joint customers all around the world. We've got tremendous joint customers, obviously across the U.S., throughout Europe. We just did some business in Italy, Australia. So we're seeing a really great response from customers that's shown not just in how they're placing their trust in us, but how they're taking in that technology and doing some unique things to service their customers. And as I said, that part makes it really exciting. As a sales professional, there's no greater satisfaction than seeing your customer gain benefit from the solution that you've provided.
Perfect. And my last question is, the future. And I imagine you guys have some neat stuff in the works. Maybe is there anything you can share? Where's this partnership going?
Yeah. So, Doug, this is Don. Let me address that. So, if we go on the example that Carlos gave about the customer that we worked with on their inventorying problem solving and the impact that had on the revenue and their customer experience, that is incredibly interesting. We're going to be working with DataCore in the future to bring them into helping us solution our AI, our deep machine learning platform. We're in deep development today on a platform that will change our analytics from hindsight to foresight. I think I mentioned that at the beginning of the call a little bit, but going from hindsight to foresight. So it's not just about looking around at inventories and make sure that I got things that are kicked off ordering. It's about starting to look at deeper patterns. It's about not only patterns of what exists in your environment today, but things that are going on around your environment. So in the example that Carlos gave was about somebody's inventory that they own, but there's also things going around that environment that are external. How do we pull that data in and then start doing prediction? Start doing prediction of things that are going to happen. So that's now getting into foresight. And that's going to take examples like Carlos gave you and really now move it to just the next level of business insight. It's just incredibly exciting to think about predicting the future and using that to make your business decisions. And to do that, obviously, we're going to have flexible, agile storage as part of that solution. And we are working with DataCore on that future solution. Incredibly exciting. And, I've never been more excited to be in this industry to be able to think about what we can do with that type of technology. Absolutely.
It's a great time to be in IT, as we talked about earlier. I've said that for years, but it just keeps getting better and better and better. And to quote Zia, storage is just going through the roof. It's just beautiful what's happening and what you guys are bringing to market, together. And then, of course, separately too, obviously. So thank you. I think that's all the questions I have. I'll go around the horn and give you guys the last word. But thank you so much for this podcast. I've really enjoyed it. I'm excited to learn more about what you're doing with the DX8200D. And, of course, I'll follow you guys in the future. So another great podcast from DataCore, but that does not surprise me. Maybe some of my favorite podcasts are with the DataCore folks. And that's, I think, probably almost a fair statement. So that being said, guys, thank you. I'll give you the last word, and I'll let you fight for it, I guess. So have at it.
Thanks, Doug. I'll jump in. And first of all, thank you. I mean, you've been a great friend and someone that has really helped to articulate the value of what DataCore does to a very broad audience, and we certainly value that. We're very excited about the future. Don has alluded to some of the things that we're exploring in terms of analytics. We're really looking at the next evolution of our parallel I/O technology. How we leverage that to provide unique value, unique assets to different industries, different verticals. Obviously, I mentioned healthcare earlier, but we are looking at ways of leveraging our technology in very, very creative ways, and in partnerships with companies like Lenovo, who are at the forefront of that type of thinking, really mean a lot to us. So Don and Patrick, thank you both. You are great allies, and we really do value the partnership and everything that you're doing with us.
Yeah, and as I talked about our strategy of innovation through partnership, we don't just partner with everybody. We partner with people, like I said, that have deep engineering skills. DataCore has that. We partner with folks that are like-minded and we're trying to solve for the future of the data center. DataCore shares that. So this partnership is way more than something on paper. It is something that I think will endure in the future. These guys have incredible engineering expertise in the software-defined world that we're going to bring in and do even more with in the future. I would tell you this, Doug. Lenovo's strategy, and Lenovo, I'll put this marker right here today. Lenovo will be the leader in the software-defined data center. Lenovo will lead and usher in the software-defined data center to change the nature of infrastructure, to change business outcomes. That is what we're going to do.
That's awesome. I love it. That's a bold statement. You heard it here live. And by the time you listen to this podcast, it's already happened. So that's how fast the world works today. So, guys, thank you again. Well, Patrick, anything to add there? I cut you off.
No, we just appreciate being asked to volunteer or to be a part of this podcast. We appreciate being here. We appreciate the partnership we have with DataCore and the DX8200D. Again, thanks for allowing us the time.
No, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you guys so very much for taking the time to do this with me. Without you guys, I'm just talking to myself, and that's no fun. Okay, that concludes another successful episode of DABCC Radio. I was stumbled there for a second because I love doing podcasts with DataCore. I really do. And they bring the smartest guys. They have the smartest guys. Go back and listen to some of the previous podcasts we did in the past 6 months. Every one of them is just phenomenal. You're going to learn so much. The technical ones are just deep dives into parallel I/O, deep dives in the storage, deep dive into what DataCore is doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it. The one with Zia is over the top phenomenal. I love these guys. I really, really do. They make great technology, and it shows by the quality and caliber of individual they have at their company. It's just A+ players all the way around. And they brought on Lenovo, which is, I think, an A+ partner. A++ partner, right? Nobody's better than Lenovo at doing what they're doing, and they're only going to get better. So, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me. I hope everyone out there listening, our listeners, enjoyed this episode. Again, refer back to the previous DataCore podcasts. The links will be in the show notes, or just thumb through the app or thumb through your feed on iTunes, or wherever you found this podcast, and they're in there. Definitely check out www.dabcc.com for the latest and greatest storage and virtualization, data center, desktop, IoT, you name it, news and support resources from IT. Anything IT we cover, and we put it up there and we share it with you. It's a great place to wake up in the morning, in the afternoon, check it and see what's going on within the industry. So it's definitely go back within the timeline, because we're adding content all the time and you don't want to miss anything. A lot of great stuff up there. What else do I say? Definitely check out our mobile apps. It's a great way to check out what's going on, like I just said, on the go, anywhere, anyplace, anytime. Just head over to your favorite app store, be that a Google App Store or the iTunes App Store, and download those apps. Just search for DABCC and have fun with that. On that note, what else do I say? But thanks to each and every one of you guys for listening to this podcast. We are successful because of you, the listener. I thank you. If you like it, definitely tell a friend, tweet about it, send up smoke signals. If you do that, please take pictures and send them to me. So what else do I say except for thank you very much for listening to DABCC Radio.
Can you say DABCC?
DABC.
Say it again, DABCC.
DABC.
Can you say it again, DABCC?
DABC.
How about DABCC?
DABC.
DABCC.
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 DABCC.